Say man, hey man.
We back. We here, we back.
And we want to wish y'all a very happy belated Mother's Day.
Facts. We're recording this like the day after.
Right. Mother's Day was yesterday.
We tried to do it before, but it just ain't.
It ain't do what we're supposed to do. Life be happy. But we wanted to make sure that we wish y'all a very special happy Mother's Day, man. I'm very close to my mom. I know he is as well. So, you know, it is a big day for us. So we just wanted to acknowledge that. And that's going to lead us into our topic that we'll be talking about for today.
Facts.
So we'll be talking about the difference in the generations of parenting. And I think that this is a good time for it due to the fact that Mother's Day was just yesterday or whatever.
Right.
But it kind of came to me on like, as you guys know, I'm a teacher. And I just kind of like, for me, teaching has been like an introduction, like a diet. Parenting, like a parent training, like
no, because you spending the majority of your time with the kids, and that's what people don't understand. Well, people understand about teachers, but I feel like they don't act on that as much as they could. You know what I'm saying?
Because you gotta think, bro. Parents be trying to get rid of their one child for the day. Bro, we're sitting there watching
class full of
them, bro. Like class full of them. Like that's 30 different personalities, and it's just like what parents don't realize is you do know your child, but you know your child in certain settings.
Exactly.
Like you've never a lot of parents never even been around their child while their child was around 30 other kids.
Yeah, no cap.
Like you don't
unless they're involved, because every kid ain't involved with the sports or a drama club or music.
And honestly,
whatever that be.
And today you see less kids involved with sports than you did. Because to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were
down there together.
And yeah, exactly. That's how I met this man. You know what I'm saying?
No cap, and we still here talking about it.
But I met this man when I was in 5th grade.
Yeah, through sports.
Fourth grade.
4th grade, yeah, that 4th grade.
I met him in 4th grade through sports, and I just feel like, hell, like even that alone, you don't see as much sports. I know COVID had a big thing to do with a lot of the beginning of these kids starting to play sports or whatever. But
what I've been hearing too from talking to some parents and the kids that I know, and then I got a younger sister, so being in her circle.
I be forgetting about that, bro.
Facts. Because she just now started middle school. But
and he worked with kids too. He worked with kids for a minute.
It's getting more expensive too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which isn't, you feel me? Which ain't, we gonna get to the parenting, but just while we on the topic of kids, like I can't always fault the parents because they like, hey, I'm just like, even before they get to the age of the elementary school and middle school, like the daycare is expensive. You know what I'm saying? The food is expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Even like so to back off what you just said, I just seen this video, this picture. AAU tournaments, they was charging the parents $50 to get in.
That's OD, dude.
Bro,
and y'all want us to do this every weekend?
But it's 50 for Friday.
Oh, you talking about per day?
Saturday,
oh my god!
And it's 50 again if you make it Sunday, nigga. The Hawks ticket, you don't even pay that much.
No, like literally, no, bro, no, Joe. They had when the Hawks was in the playoffs, they had standing room tickets available for $40. So I can go see NBA players play for cheaper than kids that we know for sure. Every kid on this team is not finna make the league.
To go watch my
and this
son,
might not. Is this EYB? This is like standard tournament.
This is standard, bro. Matter of fact, these was because it was one of my little buddy Tristan. He in 2nd grade, bro.
Dear Lord.
So they was posting the pictures of the tournaments. I was like, bro, it's no way. Like, bro, a lot of people do not have $50 to just spare. To just spend, dude. Especially to see your child play when you didn't already pay thousands of dollars for them to play in this tournament.
Bro, if me and you was at Swanee in 2023, if we was at Swanee in 2008 and I asked my mom for $20 against such thing, she gonna give me a 5 and say, figure it out.
We got some Gatorades in the car. You feel me? You know what I'm saying?
Man, what?
So, and I'm glad you just said that because inflation is also a huge part of it. I know there's a lot of difference, reasons to why parenting is different amongst generations, which means the results of the kids will be different. So like you just said, the prices are a lot higher now. COVID kind of threw the kids off.
Threw the parents off too, because they don't know what to do with them. Like a lot of kids I know you saw, well, both of you with teaching and coaching, like coaching wise, kids kind of lost that year of development and year of camaraderie around
which
being
is
other
important.
kids.
Every year as a child is extremely important.
Every year, oh God, like one kid, it's like dog years almost. Like
literally.
Like 6 to 7, it's a big difference versus 31 and 32.
Because they say that's what you learn the most when you're a child.
Yeah, your brain is
still like it's harder for somebody to learn how to read that's 30 than it is for somebody that's like 4.
Yeah, your brain is in a different mode.
Yeah,
and when we on the topic of money, I don't think like rich versus poor is like different styles of parenting, but I think money definitely plays a factor, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like not being able to do certain things. And like you may, if you're one of the parents that, doesn't have the most, you have to be maybe more creative in the things that you have to do with your kids and stuff like
You
that.
got to be, and even beyond that, I just feel like you just said, circumstances, you got to be, like you said, more creative to give your child these experiences, but you also got to be realistic about the circumstances that you're putting your child into and how that'll affect them moving forward in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
while we on this time, I'm glad you said that. I think the first step in parenting that I think a lot of people don't realize is before the baby is even born.
It's awesome.
People don't even really gauge their own circumstances and what they would be bringing the kid into. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've heard a lot of instances of like, of course, obviously the child, and can't nobody tell you I want to be born, right? But a lot of parents have the kid just because like they want to have a kid, not necessarily because I want to have the best life for my kid. You get what I'm saying? And it turns into kind of more of a possession thing instead of it's another human being.
The child first.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like not taking into consideration, like you said, like I'm not saying you have to have money to have a kid, not by all means, but if you're not gonna be willing to be creative, you know what I'm saying, willing to understand that you can't do X, Y, and Z, but how are we gonna still make our kid feel like they have what they got? You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm glad you just said that,
because if you're not willing to, it's gonna be harder for you.
And like you just said, bro, parenting is not even so much about a money thing, because I've had some
not
partners
always,
that had a lot
sometimes
of,
it has
I've had partners that had a lot of money that don't like their parents. And some of my partners who grew up not having much money at all and is super tight to their parents. Parenting, it's about what you're willing to do. Like you said, like,
what do you want to do for them?
It's about and this is coming from two niggas with no kids, by the way.
Facts. No.
But we be around kids, and I feel like we're still. Like, I feel like me and him are at an interesting age where we kind of connect with both sides of the fence.
Yeah. And especially for me, like from having a younger sibling, and like when Jenna was born, she was literally born, me and him was together. We had a football game at Ben Hill. She was born August 27th. If you see this, Jenna, don't get mad. 2013. We had a game that day, right? But I say that like I was 14 years old when she was born. So I got a other younger sibling, so like just being the oldest, like I literally helped kind of raise her in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Because it was so many times when, even before that, when me and Courtney was just alone and I would have to make sure everything was good. But now I'm changing diapers, I'm watching what she's eating, I'm watching what she's watching, you know what I'm saying? I'm teaching her things, like we going over the ABCs and stuff, little stuff like that at the house before she gets into preschool. So like from seeing it from that side and then working with the kids I do now and starting from a young age and then like working around different age groups, and like we said, we're spending time with kids that the parents aren't seeing how their kid is acting in these circumstances. And so you're able to see that in a different light.
And before we really get into like, because I want to kind of break down, like I have a lot of conversations with my dad as far as his parents, my parents, like our parents, and then like the parents of this current generation. But more like another thing that kind of bothers me. Well, one thing that kind of bothers me about new parenting. Let me start off with here. And I kind of see the consequences of this or the results of this in the classroom pretty often. And I know for a fact it's something new because it wasn't like this when we were in school. And what I mean by that is, I agree that there has to be it is perfect to not repeat the mistakes of past generations, right?
Facts.
And what I mean by that is, I love the fact that the newer generations are more open to hear the children out, and you know, it don't automatically just kind of like push the words to the side.
Yeah, you a kid, stay in your lane.
Now, I think that we have to be mindful to what extent we're doing this with the kids and what the messages are that we're delivering to the kids. And what I mean by that is, parents are doing that so much to the extent that children are doing whatever and believe that their parents will make excuses for it. So like, you'll do whatever because your parent isn't going to come and yell at you.
Because they feel like whatever you're doing, there's some kind of reason behind it.
There's some kind of reason behind it. And what I be trying to understand,
good or bad.
The parents be like, well, I know my child, he wouldn't just do this. I be like, I had to tell him,
but he did.
And
I'm only telling you this because he did. Like, I didn't call you because I thought he was about to do it. He did it.
And one of the main things I always tell to the parents is multiple things. Like, listen, ma'am, I was just a kid. Like, some of these teachers that work here was my teachers when I was a child. You know what I mean? So I understand the kids more than I understand some of the adults.
Yeah, no cap, because you're closer.
You feel me? But at the end of the day, like, I feel like a lot with the progressions, we have to understand how to do that correctly, because what we're doing is we're raising a generation that does not know how to take accountability for shit that they do.
And we're seeing this in real time.
And I'm seeing it in real life. I can give you an example, bro. Right. Like an example of parents having to be careful what they're telling their child, bro. It was one time, and mind you, bro, in elementary school, to be fair, bro, a lot of the times the girls are bigger than the boys.
Yeah, they grow faster.
They grow faster. They grow earlier, right? So the girls are like, a lot of the girls might be stronger than a lot of the boys, might be bigger than a lot of the boys, might be taller than a lot of the boys. So, you know, kids being there playing and stuff, and a girl may hit a boy or something like that. And I can say this, bro, which is just the realistic truth everywhere. The consequences of a girl hitting a man or a boy and a boy hitting a girl, they'll never be the same. Never. So to an extent, it's almost pointless to act like it's equal. Yeah. Because
at any stage,
because you
don't even want to put that idea in the head.
It's an unrealistic way of life. Like I tell the boys all the time, listen, bro, it's not right. I know. Yeah. But if she hits you, bro, please don't hit her back. Just come get me. Yeah. Trust me, because I tell the boys all the time.
It's not gonna work out for you.
I know how fucking irritating it is, bro.
I grew up with two little sisters, and they would do that on purpose to try to get me.
To try to get you to hit back. I tell you all the time, bro. Almost every single girl I've hit, almost every single girl I've talked to this day have hit me before, bro. I've never ever put my hands on a woman ever. The only person I've ever fought was my little sister when we were little kids. You know what I mean? Like,
and you know why? Because of how you were raised.
Because exactly.
You feel me?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it started at home.
So like I didn't see none of that. I never seen my dad put his hand on my mom. Yeah. Obviously they're gonna argue. There's gonna be arguments. Nobody's perfect. Their parents. Their relationship. They're together all the time. It's gonna be arguments, but it's just to an extent like
to get to that level.
I never seen it. So let me give you an example, bro. This girl accidentally bumps this kid, right? The boy turns around, swings on her. You know what he tells me? My mama said if a girl hit me, I can hit her back. I said, I almost said his name. I said, bro, do you realize that she just accidentally pushed you? So at first I thought he was lying.
So it was on some like in the back, like
the girl accidentally pushed the nigga. So at first I thought he was lying, right? Yeah. I was like, your mama ain't tell you that. I know your mama ain't tell you that.
Fact. That's really just blew my mind when I heard it.
We called her mama say, yeah, I told him that. And I'm like, bro, what you don't realize is, I understand what you was trying to say, like, okay, like you have the right to protect yourself, which is true, bro. But
you gotta know the circumstances. And like when you deal with elementary school kids,
and that's why I say you gotta be careful. Kids don't have the knowledge to be able to separate or differentiate circumstances.
It's no gray area. It's black or white.
There's no gray.
She hit me, I hit her back.
The first thing he said, well, my mama said I can hit girls. And it's like, bro.
And honestly, by her saying that gave him more validation. Because even if she didn't say nothing and he did it, like acting out of ignorance of I didn't know, like nobody told me not to. Somebody telling you to is really worse.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Because you're going to go straight off instinct.
Exactly, bro. And that's why I say, like, we have to be careful about the progressions that we have. We got to realize, bro, when children are kids, you're teaching them principles. And as they get older, they'll learn how to balance them out.
No, that's facts.
But at an early age, I just feel like shit has to be much more strict because you have to have you have to be scared of something growing up or I just feel like you'll be fucked.
Yeah, and even if it's not your parents, it's just a fear of, you know what I'm saying, whether it be breaking the rules or whatever the consequence of the rule or something, you got to have some kind of moral compass. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you create it.
Like you just said, it's not even the concept, not even just like being scared of your parents. Because like I was never scared of my mom and my dad, but I was scared if I got in trouble.
I know what trouble brings.
Happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what
it may not even be
directly
what that
from it. Preventing niggas from getting in trouble.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? It's that simple. Because it's a difference between, I got in trouble at home, but an ass whooping that stems from home is a different from when they get that phone call. When they get that phone call from other folks, it's a difference, bro.
Because you was there in school with me.
It's a difference, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Like you know, like our parents didn't play that. I mean, like I'm gonna be real. Like I never got in trouble when I was with his folks. He never got in trouble with us. But it's because, like we just said, bro. He know if they call it dad, they're not gonna play with his ass.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And it's not about. And like another thing I learned from me, like. Teachers are adults that live lives, right? Nobody, I ain't gonna say nobody because I'm sure there's certain things, but 9 times out of 10, nobody's just purposely picking on your child.
Yeah, that doesn't happen as often as people
think. As often as people think, like at the elementary school level.
Yeah, especially.
Because it's just like, for me, like now, when you get older, when they get to high school, it can be a little.
That's
different.
what I was gonna say. Because at that age, kids aren't acting out of malice or like purposefully doing stuff either.
Right.
Like sometimes they can, but it'll be more so with other, you know what I'm saying, like classmates more so than trying to pick on the teacher.
Right.
Because I for sure that we definitely, especially you at Westlake, picking on you. Feel me? Yeah. That happens, but that's at the older age. And that's what I was gonna say too. What we was talking about with like teaching the kids what's right and wrong. Of course, when they get to a grown age, they're gonna make their own decisions, even after knowing what's right and wrong. Right. And that's just them living with the consequences. Correct. But at a younger age, you have to literally, it has to be a black and white. Like, nah, you can't do this, you can't do this.
It has to be a black and white. And that, like you said, it's like, for example, one of the struggles that I had, or one of the tips that they gave me that I'm going to definitely utilize moving forward, and I kind of did it this year. You gotta be strict with the kids and then become cooler as it comes. Don't start off cool and then try to become strict because they won't take you serious.
Once they think they can bend the rules, that's right.
It's over.
Yeah,
so you gotta start off hard.
You know what the way you just brought it is how especially my pops taught me is privileges versus rights type of thing. You get what I'm saying? Like anything you setting the rules is how you're gonna run your classroom, right? It's like like this said what I say goes in terms of X, Y, and Z, right? But as you go on, you can earn different privileges with me by following the rules that I set initially.
That was a hell of a point. But
I'm telling you, hey, shout out Junior, shout out Junior.
Hey, you just said so, man. I'm telling you, I'm about to call them brother. You told Chuck some shit with that one.
Cause like it would be shit like
that was a great. I've never heard nobody.
It would be like, and I couldn't when he brought it, and it was like, he told me this like middle school. And once it really clicked for me, I understood it, and I stopped getting in little trouble around the house and, you know what I'm saying, at school and stuff, because it's like, I was one of the kids. And a lot of folks in our generation, which I don't see happens as much with them, the younger generation, but we'll get to that too, with privileges like getting grant. Like I used to get my phone taken for the summer, you know what I'm saying, we had a Six Flags pass. Like boy, you ain't going there.
But like real,
yeah, you get what I'm saying? Like my mama came in and took the Xbox out the room, like not on some, give me this tablet and I'm gonna put it in my nightstand and the little kid know where to find it when you at work type of thing. So like understanding privileges and like you can earn these things. Not saying you don't deserve it, but you have to show me that. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
and that's
I'm gonna give you an example. Like I'm gonna tell y'all some shit that my dad did. I kind of forgot all about this shit, and it's just about like the principle of shit. My dad asked me to stop leaving my window open. Right? My room was on the second floor of the house, so I'm thinking to my head, I'm like, nigga, nobody's about to come to the second floor of this shit and what's the name? But it's the principle of like just get used to closing stuff, closing doors, locking doors, etc., etc. Exactly. So one day I come home and I had left my window open. This nigga, which it was funny because I had understood why he did it, which is why I didn't trip. But when he first did it, I had already knew that. I was like, nobody robs a house and only robs one room. You know what I mean? So what my dad did was stage the whole robbery of my bedroom, right?
Just the room.
I walk home. My blinds fucked up. Mind you, our house had already got robbed once at a time. My blinds fucked up. I'm thinking in my head like, fuck, bro.
They got mad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. So I walk in the house. Okay, TV's still here. Okay, TV. Like, I'm walking around to everywhere else. So I go in my room. This nigga done pulled out all of my clothes out the drawer.
Tornado with
it. It's like my room look fucked up. No candy system, no nothing, right? I'm like, man, fuck. So I'm walking around. I'm like, did they take anything out of here? I go to the room. They take anything out? Nope. I go to my parents' room. They take anything? Nope. I'm like,
and you got home before they did type shit?
No, if I'm not mistaken, me and Jada got home at the same time.
Okay, got you.
And I want to say my dad was home too. So I'm like, bro, so that's when I started like, I've always been, I'm not a dumb nigga. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm not finna just go crazy because I know nobody just robbed this. Like because
obviously,
too
much stuff is still here.
If you would have took some shit out of Jada's room or something, you would have had me fooled. But like, due to the fact it was just my room. So then, once I got my shit back, this nigga made me clean up the room. That he fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
But hey,
it's the
you know what he did? He was being creative too.
That's what I'm saying. I know.
Because I bet you him telling you, because it's like, because at the end, like you said, you knew why it happened.
You know, I knew why it happened, bro.
And I bet
so
you
I just went and laid down. I was like, I'll get my shit back when I decide to get my shit back. Because I kind of felt that he had already said multiple times, stop leaving that fucking window unlocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so it's just like the principle, and I just feel like a lot of new parenting because of like I feel like some of the parenting from our generation, which I feel like the parents that have these kids in elementary school are maybe like in their 30s.
Yeah.
Like so it may be like a kind of like a generation that like maybe a generation ahead of, or like the early version of our generation.
Yeah, facts.
And I feel like some of those people may have felt like their parents didn't value their word or something like that. Which I just feel like there's ways to value kids' words while also teaching children the lessons of. But
what's right and wrong.
They don't. I'm gonna be with you. An 8-year-old does not have the same rights as a person that's our age, simply because they don't know enough.
Exactly.
Like, they can't make those decisions enough. So you have to give them the real, especially black kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I'm trying to telling a black boy to me that it's okay to hit a girl.
That's setting up a bad pattern.
That's just a dangerous thing to put in a kid's head. And it's even more fucked up because a woman told him that.
That's facts.
You know what I mean? And that's just kind of like, and that's kind of like one of the main reasons why we wanted to have this discussion today. Now let me ask you this, bro. When you look at, I know you close with your grandma and stuff.
Facts.
When you see like your grandmother with your mom's relationship and then like your relationship with your parents, do you see like a difference, or do you ever hear her talk, or any of your parents talk about a difference?
I think I do see similarities, but I do see differences too. I see similarities in terms of like how they were raised in like the community type aspect and setting, and I think more like how I grew up in the neighborhood and there was a lot of kids around.
Right. You talking from the perspective of your mom?
Yeah, I'm talking about my mom's with my grandma.
I think was that your dad's dad with the street name?
Yeah,
I know your folks part of the community.
Facts.
It's folks that got a street name.
I'm telling you, shout out Charles Senior, Junior, and the third. You get what I'm saying? You get me? So look, with my grandma, it's interesting because like literally we was all together yesterday. I was shout out my grandma.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, we was with all of them yesterday, and I think and I had to preface this. I said this like way long ago in like one of the early episodes, but my mom was adopted.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
You did. You said that the last time. You just forgot. Yeah, I said this on one of these like an early episode. I think it was before we was on YouTube. So that's a different kind of dynamic. You get what I'm saying? Because it was kind of like my grandma to a degree had to earn my mom's trust.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily because she didn't trust her, but I didn't know you. Like I didn't spend my time from birth with you.
Like, and then I just feel like as children, and I can't speak for this like concretely because I never went through it. I don't really know anybody that really went through it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like children in foster homes already have a harder time to just automatically trust somebody.
No, that's right. Yeah, literally.
They can already feel like the person that literally had me just gave me away.
Exactly. So
you know what I mean?
Even as a kid, and it's sometimes because she was adopted at a very young age, and I'm sure she literally wasn't able to say that she didn't trust, but it's an innate feeling, right? So from going through that, right, and then I could tell that from how my mom grew up, when she had kids, she really wanted to shower us with the love that she lacked, at least on those early stages. You get what I'm saying? So I think in that instant, I know that's a different because everybody's not adopted, but in that instance, I could see how she really wanted to make sure that, like we were saying earlier, like that we were heard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Our feelings was valued and stuff like that. We had what we had in the household and community and stuff like that. But then I could also tell like little things like, not necessarily little because communication is a big thing, but there would be like little gaps in communication sometimes. Just from, I feel like my mom maybe not have had it 100% with her mom at the age that I was at during those times. So I think as I got older, I had to take more of the but more responsibility of me doing the communicating instead of her asking.
And I'm glad you said that. I want you to give you a point.
And it takes some self-recognition to do that. What I had to learn too
is that, bro, this was the main thing I had to learn, and this is when my relationship with my parents got a whole lot better to me. That your parents are not perfect. Your parents are people that are also trying to figure it out.
Literally.
That also have gone through things that are all, you know.
I'm glad you said that.
And when I learned that, it gave me so much more perspective, and it just allowed me to be much more patient.
Yeah, they're not just mom and
dad.
Yeah,
they like for as much as my parents are Earl and Roxanne. I mean, most of my parents are mom and dad. They're also Earl and Roxanne, and they were Earl and Roxanne long before I was even a thought.
You feel me?
You know what I mean? So like, it's still shit that they may have been dealing with or going through and stuff. Like obviously, this stuff that your parents going through that you might not never know.
No, facts.
You know what I mean?
That's fact. And it's stuff that we go through that they don't know. That happens with people. Like everybody isn't a completely open book. No matter what kind of family has like the best communication.
Nobody knows everything about everybody.
Literally,
it's just
literally. And I'm glad you said that too, because that's something else. And I learned that recently. Like, during the pandemic, because me and my girl really got into reading more, and her more so than me. It's the author Bell Hooks. She passed away sadly, like I think a year or two ago. But if you know, you know, and if you don't, you need to get into her, because especially with black people, bro. She had this book called All About Love. The shit is dope, bro, because it and I didn't even read it myself. I need to go in and really read it, but my girl was reading it, and we would just like summarize. I would have her summarize chapters for me of what she learned from it. Right. And one of the things she said was there's two things that I wanted to talk about. One is like, you have to recognize that parents are people. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But the same way, vice versa, a lot of parents
don't recognize that.
Just it's like, you're a kid, stay in your place, get up out of here.
Right.
But it's like, if you feel like you're raising your kid the right way to think independently, of course, like, you're gonna have thoughts from the household and, you know what I'm saying, right, things that are influenced, but to think independently, to use their context clues, you know what I'm saying? So if a kid speaks out about something they feel like is wrong, who are you? I mean, of course you're the parent, but you don't have to just straight dismiss them. You should hear them out, even if you disagree. It's a conversation to be had.
You know what's crazy?
It's not like just go and stay in the kid place. Like, you shouldn't even be thinking about that anyway. Why not?
You know what's crazy?
We both live on this earth.
I just seen a clip from Everybody Hates Chris, where Chris, which was a joke. Yeah. They made it like a joke and shit, but he said,
when you look back,
they said it was a conversation the dad had with Chris. Dad was like, look, listen, man, you can't talk back to your mama, da-da-da-da. So, but then the dad ended up talking to the mama and was like, listen, you wanted a strong-minded boy. I mean, you wanted to raise a strong-minded son. This is going to be part of the
result of it. And you have to be, exactly.
He said something that you did doesn't make sense to him, so he asked questions.
Exactly.
So
to dismiss it is just going to prolong the problem.
What happened was, there wasn't nobody doing shit. His brother and sister wasn't doing shit but laying down on the couch. He was busy doing something, and she made him come clean up. So he was like, but they're not doing anything right here. Why can't they just go do it? So she was like,
she's on, so you're going to do it.
She was like, yeah, she's going to do it because she basically is like, because I told you to do this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, in which I don't feel like as a child, you don't have a right to back talk that. But at the same time, as the parent, you have to understand.
But no, I think it's before I cut you, it's a difference between back talk and questions. Like a genuine question, like. Because I can understand, of course, from the mom, she's like, anything you say to me right now is, you're not doing what I told you to do, so you're wrong. Right. But he's just like, damn, like,
it just don't
you
make
have
sense.
3 kids.
Right.
That's exactly what no, like, you feel me? You got 3 kids. Like,
it just don't make sense. And see, my thing is, and that's one thing I will say, bro. Parents and stuff like this always be like, well, when you have kids, you gonna be like that too. I'm like, well, listen, bro.
Not necessarily. I'm glad you brought that. I got something to say too.
And I can say this like this. I be at work and everybody be like, you know, you shouldn't be like that with a kid because they're gonna do this. Or I'm like, listen, bro, I don't have this desire to have a power trip over these kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's not about authority, control.
Because like I feel like some people really admire that control.
Yeah, I want to have control over my classroom. Yeah, what I say go. That's gonna happen regardless.
Right, and you're the teacher. I'm like, for me, like that's not me, and that's not my relationship that I want to have. And like people are like that, but then they're wondering why like they don't know half the shit their child go through or nothing like that. It's because you never made I was like
you never made them comfortable asking questions.
But this kid would come tell me some shit going on at home.
Yeah,
though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
that they not telling y'all because y'all don't have this relationship.
Kids would come wear my hat or something, or come and jump and hit me in the back of the head or something like that, and the teachers might go off on them, and it bothers me because I'm like, let me have my relationship with them.
Exactly.
What you don't know is I just slapped him in the back of the head 10 minutes ago, and he just coming and for me it's a part of just
building that relationship. Building that relationship.
Have these kids. You don't know. What I learned is you do not know what these kids going through at home, bro.
If that's their outlet, let that be that. Let that be that.
If I don't, it's not like
it's not bothering you. That's the whole thing.
Just smack the shit out of me or something. You know what I mean? It's differences.
Facts.
But like so for me, like I do feel that, and like and I am glad that I'm close with my parents where I can kind of just go to them and talk to them about whatever.
Exactly.
But I struggled with that growing up too. Don't be honest with you. They weren't very open to my. You know me to this day.
Yeah.
I have a response to everything for the most part. And when I was young, it got me in trouble in the house a lot because I would have a response. Something that makes sense to me when I was 10, I was gonna let your ass know. That shit don't make no sense.
Just let me know why. I might listen more if you make sense to me. But if I'm questioning what I'm doing every time, it's gonna be like, why am I doing this?
Right.
And I struggle with that too, no cap.
Right. Yeah.
More so, honestly, it was funny to me. It was like in school because I'd be like,
I know.
You a smart kid that knew what was going, like that. I would get the work done, and then the teacher get mad that I'm acting out. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like just make it make sense to me. If it made sense of what I was doing, all right, for sure. Mm-hmm. But if it's just busy work, it's like.
Yeah, and for me, it's just like it's just a concept we got to be careful with in totality.
No facts.
I kind of wanted to touch on the like, you know how I was kind of talking to you about your grandma or whatever with what's the name. I listen to my dad talk a lot, and he talks about the difference between, and this is one of the reasons why I'm super close with my dad, and that I've gained a lot. I ain't gonna say like I gained more respect from him. Like I didn't respect him when I was a kid, but
yeah, it's no matter what it is, it's a possibility for more.
Yeah. Like as I've gotten older and more of an understanding, one thing I can always say that I appreciate the hell out of my dad about, bro. It don't matter what the fuck it is, bro. I could say I want to go be a damn horseback rider. This nigga's finna be on the way to the farm, and we're about to go get a horse.
Bro, that support is real.
It's a real thing,
that
bro.
shit
It's
is
a
real.
thing.
For real.
It's a real thing. And what I realized is just through that outlet is I was like, damn, like through all of the issues that me and my dad may, or disconnects that me and my dad may have had going on, I feel like the one thing that really matters is how much this person give a fuck about you and how much they want you to succeed.
It's gonna show up.
And everything else, like I feel like since I recognize that, our relationship has gotten a lot better because now I kind of understand, like, okay, I know what your intentions are, even if it's shit come off wrong.
Right, exactly.
Or let's not even just say come off wrong, but not in the way that, one thing I feel like parents do that I'm gonna try not to do, but I feel like we all kind of do it is, you want to make sure that your child has everything that you didn't, right?
Right.
But to me, I think it's also extremely important to be mindful of, just because you needed that and you desired that does not mean the next person needs that or desires that.
You know what it is? I feel
mean?
you. I feel you. Instead of giving your kid everything you didn't have, just try to make sure you do the most to get what they want. Even if it's not everything, because like you said, the desires could be different. Of course, like the fucking toys in the 80s is different from the toys now, but in the, like, you just got to know what your kid want. Or even if it's not, like, you know what I'm saying, physical things, like whether it be attention or support, like you said, or like being open to listen, like that shit is
like,
important.
bro, you even know, like, when we were trying to start doing this podcast, shit, my dad was out there in that 100-degree weather trying to set up shit. Bro, he's the most supportive person ever.
That support is real.
He's just, you sort of like with the support, you just got to take, okay, with a supportive person, what's it going to be? Strong opinions. All right, if you don't like the fucking opinions, then don't take the help. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's facts.
You know what I mean?
Or
so like,
even if you don't want to take, just be willing to listen.
Listen. And it's like little shit like that I just learned. It just made our relationship a lot better. And that's when I realized, like, you can sit there and think and blame all you want to, but you take parts in a fraction. Like, when I say fraction, man, my dad has been close my whole life, but I just mean, like, you know how it might be a disconnect on this.
Yeah,
you might have a problem.
We human.
You know what I mean?
We human.
You feel me?
We're human.
Just in terms of,
and
like,
especially within family, bro. Family outside of, like we saying, when you're in school and in those instances where you're spending 8 hours a day with somebody, nobody over a lifetime with the typical, you know what I'm saying, American structure is going to be more around you than your family. Right. So if you're spending nonstop time with this person for 20-something years, of course
it's gonna be fractions.
You feel me? It happens. We're human. We're human. But I wanted to bring up something you was talking about earlier with parenting, with like when people was like, you know, I went through X, Y, and Z, so it's not that big of a deal for my kid to go through it too. What did you ever think about any problems that you have? Yeah, that are the fact from that, and issue. You're gonna produce. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I meant to bring up too when we was talking about like
repeated trauma.
a lot of parenting starts before the child is born. Mm-hmm. I personally think, as Charles Edward Martin III, that if you are about to have a kid, bro, and you know it, and you know what I'm saying, it's a plan for it, or even if it's unplanned, do your due diligence to try to solve and heal yourself and whatever traumas and whatever you're going to you're gonna project it, whether you like it or not, whether you think you're doing it or not. You may be thinking you're saying XYZ to the kid just because, or speaking out of frustration sometimes and thinking it's come from here, but it's coming from over there.
Let me hit you with this one, bro. And I want to be careful as I say this because, okay, let me say it like this. I have noticed a difference in the women that I've talked to that have parents that are together and parents that are separated. And it's because obviously the things that they have seen growing up in the house, their idea of love and their belief in it is different than my belief in it. Right. How achievable it may be, what they how realistic it may be. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought that getting married was gonna be hard because my parents was married my whole life. We see it. But like now that I'm kind of here, I'm like, damn, I can kind of see how marriage now. But for me, like, I understand. Like, I've seen the ups and downs of my parents. You know what I mean?
But they still together.
So I understand. Like,
for other
it's
people,
not gonna always be easy. I understand that It's gonna be sacrifices. I understand it's gonna be times where you might not be making more money than her. That's just the realistic shit. Like if we're not rich, you just like COVID happened. You lose your job, but she kept hers. You're unemployed when you don't have no real income. She do. Shit happens. You feel me? And that's why it's important. This is why it's important to find somebody you fucking like. For both people, and not just somebody that has something that you like.
Be around. No, exactly. Especially that. You know what I'm saying?
Because once that thing that you may have to offer, like you might be the richest nigga in the world today. Something may happen. The bank account may get something. You might be broke as fuck tomorrow. And now, her love was for what you had. Her love wasn't for you.
Who you are, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
So that's that's a really important aspect. It's two other aspects too. Was you?
No, you good. That was done.
It was two other aspects I seen. One was parenting. I seen one of my partners post this. Fuck, I can't think of his name. Well, I wouldn't say well, he's one of my friends. I would classify like I'm cool with him or whatever. And he say a lot of real shit. They actually got a podcast, Perspective Junkies, I think it's called. Shout out to them. I seen him post on his Instagram story. He said, half of parenting is how you treat your spouse. Like
no, for real.
Because
kids are gonna react and go off of what they see. It's so much learned behavior from a child.
Like most niggas that beating their woman watch their mama get beat.
Literally, and just
real shit.
And I'm like what you just said with whoever the mom was that told their kids to do whatever. I can probably guarantee that's due to something that she personally went through.
Right.
For whatever reason.
And like you just said, that's why it's so important to not project.
Be right within yourself, bro. Have a neutral slate. A neutral slate, bro.
Yeah, allow them, teach them, teach them the good and the bad, but don't persuade their outlook because
of what you did.
Also, another thing that people don't put in perspective, okay, yeah, that nigga treated you wrong, but when you got with him, he was fresh out of jail. Like, you're not
you know what I'm saying, the bigger picture.
You're not really putting into the fucked up decision that you made.
Yeah.
That happened too.
Accountability.
As well. Like it's a whole thing with that. And then the second thing was with my grandmother, and that's why I acknowledge my dad with the Chasing Dreams. Mm-hmm. My dad was telling me like my grandmother's generation was raised to, obviously due to circumstances, bleeding black, back in those days, you were raised to get a job, work. You weren't
because of the circumstances.
Because of the circumstances.
Exactly.
So you didn't really have the opportunity to go chase your dream.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard for them to believe that sometimes when we say the same thing.
So due to basically my dad would say like his parents' generation were taught them to just go to work, find a job.
Yeah.
And my dad says my dad has a lot of shit that sticks with me, bro. He says it doesn't matter what you do and how much money you make. If you hate what you're doing, you're gonna hate your life. Because
and this is speaking from his experience.
It's speaking from his experiences. Right. And to me, that was the most valuable thing was because now, like one thing I can say, my dad is extremely important. Values he says a lot is, like even when I just bought, I just got the car. Get some shit that you like. Yeah. Make sure you always doing something or in something that you like to do because. If you end up buying a car that you don't like, you paying monthly on it, you won't eventually end up really being bothered by it.
It's gonna end up in resentment.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one thing I can say that from generation to generation, I understand like their generation was taught survival, essentially.
Because of their environment.
And our generation kind of focuses more so on that next step. Like
because of our environment. Because we got through what they went through. Like we saying, each generation is supposed to be better than the one bad. So why would we?
And that's why I said we gotta be careful
to the same rules.
Because you know how you say we just said. They taught survival. Right. Our parents kind of encourage us to kind of more so do our own shit, which means that now our generation's looking at our kids like, all right, y'all can say this and y'all can do this. I'm like, all right, let's be careful. But you still got to be mindful because like I do love the fact that we value in kids' words.
Yeah.
But we have to be.
You still have to have guidance.
You got to have
kids
guidance.
Can't run themselves.
There has to be principles. Yeah. There has to be an extent to everything, or we're just like you can't. Okay, so if you giving him that type of leeway at 7, what's the difference between him at 7 and 17?
Bro, I'm glad you brought that up.
There's no development there.
It's that
freedom comes with your age.
No, facts. An argument of like spoiling your kids and how you do it, right? It's kind of like how we were talking about with like the privileges and stuff. Right. And I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong, but I'm just gonna talk about the argument that I've seen is like if we were one of the parents like I'm gonna give my kid everything I didn't have, right? And we come into money, although our parents didn't have it.
Right.
And now, instead of me growing up and having to catch the bus or my folks drop me off at school, I'm able to get my kid a Porsche Macan truck at 16 as his first car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And even if his grades aren't good, I'm just gonna speak from that perspective because if a kid is doing right, then they deserve to do these things.
Right.
But just from like, I guess my whole point is like, even though you want to give your kids everything that you didn't have growing up, make sure if you do that they deserve it and earn it.
Make sure they understand.
Because if you try to, and again, speaking from, I'm not a parent myself, so this is all speaking from somewhat a point of ignorance because I didn't do it myself.
But also observation from people that we know
and kids that I've been around. Yeah, like if you give them Macan truck and you know what I'm saying, the MCM wallet and all of this at this young age, and then they feel like this is how their life is always supposed to be. And let's just say, for example, the parents end up in a situation like you said, things happen. They may fall out of that job that they had that was providing them with X, Y, and Z. So now when the kid can't have what they thought is regular, or you know what I'm saying, what they feel like they deserve to have, now they feel like they ain't shit because they ain't got. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. You gotta be careful.
It's like a slippery slope.
It's just for me. It's just make sure you understand where your child's value should be. Like make sure that you understand. Like for me, like even is this? I don't think that I don't have a problem with it, but I just think you gotta be very careful, even with like putting children in designer clothes, bro. Like you gotta be mindful of what, like, and when you put them in it, be mindful of what you're telling them while they're in it. See, it's one thing to get them the clothes, just put them in it and let them go.
Yeah, for sure.
But be mindful because, like, I've seen kids come to school, they might be having some designer on. Now they're trying to shit on everybody because their parents are like, well, you got this on, you gonna be da da da.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you got them on, like, you got on some da 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 shit, like, you lame. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's the birth of a lame nigga.
Yeah, no cap.
Because like,
see, no, the thing is, because the parents, some of the parents that do what you saying aren't the same parents that are telling the kids to treat the janitor like the CEO. Right. That's a perfect example. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in my opinion, there is nobody that's better than X, Y, and Z, no matter what, you know what I'm saying, material things you have or whatever mindset.
I learned that quick, and I'm glad you said I learned that quick in the workplace because, bro, one of my favorite people to talk to, I talk to this man every day at work, is one of the custodians. Mm-hmm. And what I really realized is, bro, the custodian might be a better person than the principal. Sometimes. You feel me? But the only difference is this person might have had the opportunities to get them to that ranking. This person might have been raised where they don't know a single person that went to college. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's so circumstantial.
But does that make him a bad person?
It doesn't make him less of your respect. See, people only respect people that feel like they can do something for them. Yeah. But it's like, bro, what you don't realize is, bro, it's so many just good people out there.
I'm glad you brought that up too just now. For real. Because another thing that they talked, what Bell Hooks talked about in her All About Love book, if it wasn't that one, it was another one. It's like what you exactly described. People having more transactional relationships. Right. Where like, I'm not cool with you because we have the same interest. I'm cool with you because in the back of my head, you either have something I want or you have something you could do for me. Mm-hmm. I may not even have something to offer to you. Right. But I'm going to try to be cool with you to get X, Y, and Z. Some people do the other way around instead of just being like, damn, like I fuck with what you had to say, or I respect, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I respect any and all custodians or janitor or whatever around the country because like, or people like that, you're doing stuff that other people don't want to do. And I respect you.
And that's why
because it has to get done. It has to get done.
It got to.
What's going to happen at a children's school, if people aren't cleaning the class, like it's going to be a fucking mess. And that's why and everybody else ain't going to be able to function. So it takes a well-oiled machine.
Much harder, to me, it's a much harder job because, bro, you gotta think that same pile of throw up that he just had to come clean up, 30 adults just walked by. No, facts. You understand what I'm saying?
And was waiting on you to do it.
They look like, bro, I'm not cleaning that shit up. You feel me? Which means that you really gotta respect the people. Because now, imagine if that throw up just sat there, nobody picked it up. There's no custodian. Now what? Your fucking school is filthy. So it's just like like you just said, bro. It's
treating people with respect.
Treating people with respect, bro. And like so basically, it's just like the whole concept of just treating people with respect, bro. Because it's just that's just the bottom line of this shit, and that's one thing I just see kind of like now. I just feel like the youngest kids, and I feel like we have to be mindful of this. I'm talking to people my age, essentially a little bit older than me.
No, that's facts.
We have to be mindful of the leeway that we're giving these kids. I love the fact that we give them more leeway, but their leagues don't need to be unlimited.
They need to know how to be responsible with the newly like access that they have in the world. The same way that we did, because I think our generation and a little above and below us was the first to grow up with the internet. Right. You get what I'm saying? Because I be trying to tell people that all the time, like, and I'm seeing it in real time with me and my sister.
A lot of
you
shit.
feel me? Because me and you, we played outside first. and then we found out about MySpace.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right. MySpace had already came.
You get what I'm
MySpace,
saying?
Facebook and shit. I was already black as hell from being outside.
You get what I'm saying?
You understand me?
When these kids is like, nah, I'm growing up, like watching the videos, trying to be TikTok famous. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that may be.
You had to get on the laptop.
Yeah.
Because you had to get your mama shit or whatever. Like now
it's in the phones, tablets.
It's so accessible. That's so true.
We're not saying like limit your kids' access, like to a degree, yeah, maybe, but just know how to be responsible with all of this access and the new stuff that they have. And by the time we have kids, it's gonna be different.
Right.
So it's on us, bro. Like they be saying, the kids, the future, but who's responsible for the kids?
That's why I say you can blame the kids all you want to, but the real person to blame is your fucking parents, because kids are only doing what we allow them to do, essentially, to an extent, right? So you can blame some 15, 14, 13-year-olds for being this fucked up dumb person, but really, where was the person that was supposed to be teaching them to not become like that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And to me, that was like the whole thing that I wanted us to talk about today. And I'm glad. I think we wrapped it up well. I think that was a great episode, brother. Congratulations. I think that might have been our best shit.
You feel me? We talking that
shit, man.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be back again too. We're gonna talk about more current event shit this weekend. We're gonna link back up. I'm gonna have a haircut that time. That time I have to be shaped up and shit. I look like a bottle of spit. But and I also gonna have another power review this week as well.
Facts. I got a music review on the way too. Yeah. I got a lot back in with
so we're gonna have that. We're gonna have the EaZy review, and we're gonna have the another aEaZy10k. That'll all be coming to you within the next 7 days.
Facts.
So be ready.
And then keep telling us what y'all want to hear too, because I think like topics like this is something that we really trying to tackle more. Like, of course the current events, but the real stuff that matters,
like
and stuff
conceptual
concepts. You feel me? So and stuff that y'all want to hear. So let us know what y'all want to hear.
For sure.
Tap in on that.
Most definitely. Well, happy belated Mother's Day again.
Facts. Shout out to mama.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that.
We out.
We out.